Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jared, and I'm joined by my friends Micah and Nick. Say hello, fellas.
Hello. What's good?
Today's vid is going to be about the nuance of the Mario world. It's about how its subtleties make the worlds and characters engaging for a lot of people, notably its fans, including me. But with that, it kind of goes without saying, I think a lot of people agree that Mario games aren't really known for their story, and they're often criticized for just a lack of story, right? But I'd say by that same token, the first Super Mario Bros. Game was successful due to it having a story, because it was the first home console game to have a story to beat. It changed video games from being about getting a high score to finishing a story arc, like this story arc being I want to save the princess rather than just getting a high score. But I mean, Mario games kind of stopped doing that after this, like it stopped being really known for that. I mean, like it's always been the same. But thanks to like other games, later on after this, where like game developers really fleshed out the backgrounds, the worlds, having sometimes stuff like this where they actually have like little character descriptions. And namely, this man, Yoshiaki Koizumi, we actually get something a little bit more expanded. This man was also responsible for the recent of Rosalina's storybook and a whole bunch of things for like games he's worked on. It's basically developers like this, like that take what's there and just pushing it a bit more. Like a lack of exploration in any of Mario games themselves kind of forces you to infer based on the world they find themselves in. And to be honest, I mean, a lot of fans get a lot out of that exactly. It's a lot of what makes people enjoy the games to this day with a subtle nuance in the world and its characters. And it's honestly because of this that a lot of people said things like the Mario movie wouldn't work, but this definitely proves that there's at least something to these characters in this world that's intrinsically interesting, I'd argue. Basically, and with me all saying this is definitely going to have to be like a series of video, I feel like, because we can do this for a lot of aspects of what Mario games do. But, I know you guys really wanted to do this, so today's video will be specifically Bowser. We'll start with it.
Fantastic.
I knew you guys wanted to, so should I have started with Mario first? Maybe, probably, but to be honest, Bowser's enough of an interesting mental case to check out, and it definitely goes along with what I'm saying there a lot, so there's a lot to check out here. Keeping with the idea of the movie, I'm going to play the clip that I'm sure you've seen a lot of people talk about, and for good reason. It's this scene here.
Ruined my wedding. I was finally gonna be happy. Now you will suffer.
So, with this quote, it definitely has, it seems like a very, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that statement, and, what does that mean? We don't always get that explored, so, what can we really infer from, a statement like this? So, I think the best way, we'll just slowly go about it. Let's ask the simple question of, okay, what is Bowser exactly? So, oh wait, wrong research tab. So what is Bowser exactly?
Lord. What the hell was that?
Nothing. Guys, I did a lot of research. Just don't question it.
Oh, all right.
Bowser's inflated ego.
Well, yeah. There's a lot we can tackle here, but I'm gonna go. We'll just start with just what we know from the games, right? We'll start with just abilities that we've seen from the games. Breathe Fire, Super Strength, but there's a lot more than just that abilities. He seems to have the ability to throw hammers like a hammer brother. He has a Magic Koopa ability where he can teleport around, and also most notably I think is that he can make copies of himself using his ability of black magic. Something that's sometimes touched upon but not always fully explored. It's safe to say that he kind of has every copy ability of anybody in his army. Even niche things like Spike, where he throws the spike balls. He has that too in the game. He can just do that as well. So anything that his enemy can do, he can do. I mean, kind of makes sense, he's the king, but there is no other Koopa that's like that, because Koopas are typically noted by their abilities and appearance. There's nothing else that kinda is like Bowser in a Koopa species. The closest thing that I can think of is a Boom Boom, which is recently updated to be a species. Yeah, yes, Nick. Yes. Do we need? I don't know if we should
Cannot
explain the
handle
lore of Boom Boom in
That's
our
for
friend
another
group.
video.
That's for a separate video.
I don't even know if it picked up what Nick said. You know what? No, people can decipher what this lore is, even though it's just an entire video of itself.
It's in the video below.
It'll be I guess it'll have to be a future one. The only other enemies that are similar to Bowser are the Koopalings. And like even then, like they're clearly just not as good as Bowser. Like they'll either have like his super strength, and Ludwig's the only one that's the closest to being as proficient as Bowser. Everyone else is just kind of like, oh, they have rings or they throw balls. Like it's all like quirky stuff. And there's only one other character that's more niche, and there's a lot of interesting parts of it that I'm sure that some people have mentioned, and I'm gonna mention too, is this guy, Bowser's brother. And definitely
yes.
very mysterious character. Really only appeared in the Lost Levels, and like, that's it. The problem with this Bowser, and it seems like, you know, there's a whole thing written up here, and I'm gonna have to go off recent continuity, which may or may not matter as we'll get into, but according to what it is now, is that it's just a blue fake Bowser specifically. It's no longer they're counting it as his brother, which is interesting. It's like a weird retcon.
Interesting.
So is it his brother? Like, and like, that's the only character that we really see that's like Bowser, even though it's definitely more so a clone. And there's not really any other Koopa species that is like Bowser. I guess I will note too, maybe to try to add to this, is that I recently saw, you know, on Twitter people talking about maybe Dry Bowser's a separate character. But he has kind of a Clark Kent problem where it's like, okay, if Dry Bowser's a separate character, when are they on the same screen as each other? Like, if they're separate characters, when they eventually meet each other. And also, too, that's also completely forgetting his origin of we literally see Bowser become Dry Bowser and then revert back. So it's forgetting that.
Saying, like, what?
We literally see that. I was kind of curious if, like, well, maybe that was, like, what happened to the Blue Bowser after the first game, but, like, wait, hold on, we literally see it happen. So, like, you know.
Like 4K, we witnessed it.
We saw the change.
This is canon.
And to go further, even though I'm saying Boom Booms are, like, the similar species as well, like, it's definitely categorized as a Koopa here. And notably, Bowser's species is a separate thing entirely as like its own thing, and it's just Bowser and his children, or the Koopa, or the retcon children, right? So, considering that there's not really too much to go off of, and then going off of the idea of like family with Bowser, let's kind of go with his origin, I feel like. And like, we can start with Baby Bowser, which, with the Mario movie, I'm going to be kind of referencing that back and forth a bit because it's pretty close to current continuity. But the earliest we ever see Bowser is in Mario World 2. He has, like, speech. He can say, like, full sentences, which is, like, something that a baby, like, you know, an infant doesn't have. Like, Bowser's a toddler here. We don't see him any younger than this point.
It's interesting.
Like, he's definitely older than the Mario brothers. Like, Mario is an infant. Bowser here is a toddler. That's entirely different. There's no other Koopa like him, including, he doesn't have a mother or a father. The only time we've ever heard an instance of Bowser having a parents is in the comics. Well, not even like the official comics, like a weird spin-off comic series, The Super Show, and Hotel Mario. There's not really any character. The only character that's like the closest thing to being his parent is Kamek. Kamek's the closest one because he is Bowser's caretaker in that game. It's the closest thing we got. And since we know that the Koopas and the Mushroom people are like enemies, based on what we know about these enemy species and like the lore of the Mario games, I kind of have an idea of what it is. It's more of definitely a theory and may or may not be disproven with a future game or the future movie. But I'm gonna just propose what I think is the origin of Bowser. Long ago, before Bowser was born, the Koopa Troop existed, and The motive of the Koopa Trip, as stated from Kami Koopa, which is essentially just Kamek but in Paper Mario, is that they seek revenge anybody that treated the Koopa Troopas poorly, which is an interesting choice of words. So it's implying that, you know, the Mushroom people and the Koopas have always been enemies for a long time. We don't know if it's like some sort of like weird subjugation against Koopa Troopas, we don't know if there's a war, but all we do know, though, is that they eventually ended up in the Darklands, which looks kind of like a literal hell on Earth. They were just forced to live here. And it looks like they definitely were, so I think that Kamek, being a more proficient user in, like, black magic, clearly, I think he did something. Because we see Koopas, like just a regular these are just basic magic Koopas. These guys can just create Koopas out of nothing. A more powerful Koopa wizard could make something even more powerful, potentially. Heck, I'm not even saying that was the first time he made a successful one. I mean, since the Koopalings have been retconned, I mean, the prefix Lings now kind of means maybe underling. And Bowser's brother could have been another one that when he was trying to make the perfect enemy to get back at the Mushroom people, he made a weaker version of Bowser. It could very well be that. That's kind of what I'm thinking is the headcanon. And, like, it could be a numerous thing as to how he made it, right? Because we definitely see stuff like this cauldron here that revives him in, like, New Super Mario Bros. It could have been a numerous things. Definitely Kamek. I think Bowser was a bioweapon. A weapon created to take over the Mushroom Kingdom, which eventually was successful. There was definitely some characters that weren't with the other characters, but Bowser was the successful one. And, like, he's so durable, he's practically invincible. Like, they definitely succeeded.
He was made in the chalice.
He was made in the chalice, yes. And, like, also being raised by Kamek, you know, it kind of encouraged all of his bad habits. And, and I mean, like, clearly Kamek, as we see in, like, the Mario movie itself, too, like, he clearly lives vicariously through him. I mean, like, definitely, it's stated that, like, the Koopa Troop were, like, listened to Bowser, but if Kamek raised Bowser, wouldn't it be on Kamek? Was the reason why Bowser's the way he is a little bit? You know, I think that's interesting. And also, he wasn't made perfectly, obviously. He has one fatal flaw, Bowser. Obviously, his obsession with the princess. Speaking of that, let's talk about the quirkiness of that as well.
Oh no.
And his obsession of the princess as well, because it's definitely, like, it's origins that, like, leads to this ego, right? Because he's just so powerful. Like, what other creature is like him that's so indestructible? But it's so funny that he wants this little dainty princess, and it's clear that, like, it's definitely an attraction thing, as we see from the movie here as well.
My army! Koopas! Whatever those things are! After years of searching for the superstar, it is finally ours! I am now the most powerful turtle in the world! Soon we will arrive at the Mushroom Kingdom! Where after years of being sworn enemies, I will ask their princess to marry me in a fairy tale wedding!
Such a good bit.
Their princess? Doesn't she hate you? Of course she hates me. But that makes me love her all the more. Her heart-shaped bangs, the way she floats in the breeze.
Just opposites
her
attract.
immovable tiara.
Yes.
And when she sees this star,
Oh yeah, Nick.
wedding bells.
Well, what if she says no?
Poor Koopa.
Then I will power up with this star.
Oh well, at least we know how those are made.
Yeah, literally. I'm pretty sure all Koopas, they're just dead Koopas that just never die or something with black magic. It could be very well that as well,
Yeah,
right?
it could. That literally could stem from this whole black magic creation.
Exactly.
You know what? That kind of just outright supports it. Well, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
I
it
mean-
kind of reminds me of like a Emperor Palpatine kind of thing. Like he was like
Yeah.
providing the dark magic.
You really you know what this now like being talked about? Yeah.
Because that's Darth Vader, that's Palpatine in a way. Now that you say that, that is a good point. It is kind of like that.
Yeah, it is.
And also, too, going back to the attraction thing, I mean, like, people can simp for furries, but this clearly shows that furries can also simp for people, such as life. It can happen either way.
Art really imitates life, doesn't it? and vice versa.
Becomes full circle.
And like he clearly has like a physical attraction to her, and it's like but it's like clearly like, and he likes her, but it's clearly based on looks. He describes it himself in the scene literally as a fairy tale wedding, with this idea of Bowser's origins kind of being this weird, like kind of like tortured upbringing. I think he's just trying to find happiness in his life, and through his upbringing, he thinks he has to do it through force. So like he thinks that if I get to this picturesque princess and I get to marry her, I'll be happy. And it's linked to not only that idea, but I mean, like, again, they live in a place called the Darklands that looks like hell on earth. He thinks maybe that will make him happy. He's doing it for his people as his king. And also his son. Because with this origin idea, doesn't that also now explain how Bowser Jr. was made? Because it's technically would be the same as Bowser. And
it would be the same as Bowser, right? Yeah.
Considering the fact that he wasn't there from the beginning, too, he appeared in Sunshine, so that implies that Bowser has been defeated by Mario a whole bunch of times, and he just kind of saw, like, okay, I need to make sure that the Koopa Troopas still have somebody go off if something were to happen to me. I think that was definitely behind of it. I mean, also, Kamek could have just said, fail-safe for Bowser not working again. We have a son in the future as well, a future heir. It's also why he wants his son to have a mom. I mean, like, and to be honest, like he's definitely I think he's a better dad than how Bowser was raised. Definitely less loneliness, raising him to be a gamer like any good parent should.
Raising him to be a gamer. Yes.
But yeah, I guess to summarize, Bowser is just kind of this super powerful, practically invincible conqueror with a fatal soft spot for a princess, created for a desire for happiness, all fueled by his position of power. And I think that's a very interesting character trait, and like his origin of being like a potential bioweapon, that'll be interesting. I don't know if they're gonna actually ever really confirm something like that, but based on what we know, you can kind of come to that conclusion. And it's like, I'm really glad that they'll add scenes like this one where they just have, like, we don't need something specific, right? As long as we have something here that he just says a line, you can just take so much from that based on what he's saying and what he looks like. It's inferring, it helps with the world building, and I think it just does a lot. I think it's really cool. And sure, people may not think of it in that exact way, but you can, and I'm sure a lot of people kind of think in a similar way for that kind of origin. Theory crafting is what makes this kind of stuff fun, and what makes this worlds and characters so enjoyable, because it's kind of designed to be that way, because of the lack of exploration, Yeah, I think... Holy crap, I went through that way faster than I thought I was going to, but that's okay, because...
Well, I do think the Mario series is just character-driven. Like, there's not really much thought given to the plot at all. It's always about their characters.
Exactly.
So at least they try to narrate through them in a way.
They narrate through them, and just how they design the worlds, I'd argue, as well, because they just put little snippets, and I swear it's the design team, because we all know Miyamoto hates story. Sticker Star would not exist if he liked story.
Yeah.
West loves continuity, though.
I think it's other people really doing that, though, But, I guess there were a few other... So is there any other questions, anything that you want me to, like, clarify a bit more that you guys can think of immediately, or...?
I wonder why they went out of their way to retcon Bowser, quote-unquote, brother. It's kind of weird.
I don't know...
They could have just left that alone.
That's an asterisk, right? Because it's literally... We have to dig through, like, certain things that have been released, and... some things say that he's a fake Blue Bowser. It's out in the air, but so we don't know. But at the same time, doesn't that add? I think that's interesting because it does add to the idea of, wait a minute, if Bowser was created, this was a failed creation of Bowser at some point, which is why he also was defeated and he was never seen again. So like he wasn't as durable as Bowser, I think
Wouldn't
that
it be really funny if Nintendo just does that for the second Mario movie?
the second, that's why I'm also kind of doing these. I'm thinking of doing a bunch of these because like this is what they need to do for the future Mario movies, is that they need to focus on
Stuff
this
like
stuff.
this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this
I can
one's
even see Bowser Jr. being a part of it, like
he probably will be.
Kamek just
I mean, at
making
some
Bowser
point,
Jr.
right?
in his spot.
Right, going with
Like-
this, yeah. He's going with
Like-
this. Bowser's currently kidnapped. Maybe he'll make a Bowser Jr. to rescue his father.
We'll find out when we're all 40. Something.
Or, yeah, in 10 years when they get the Mario movie 2 done, which will probably look
Yeah.
fantastic, but it's just, oh my god. The
mean-
writers, too, for the Mario movie definitely were, like, they knew what they were doing, I feel like, and especially Jack Black. Like, holy crap, I don't even know if that was in the writing, he just kind of went ham.
I think he just improvised as he usually does, and it just works.
He's clearly passionate about the medium, and it shows through, I feel.
I think Nintendo's getting it through their caveman brains at this point. Like, maybe we do put more resources into this.
You know, and I did want to touch on like my thoughts on the Mario movie, because I feel like I am definitely talking about it a bunch. I feel like I should also put in like just a quick side note. I did enjoy the Mario movie. I do think it's like a 7 out of 10 kind of movie. I feel like I should put that in there. Because again, like we're saying, here's what we're saying here. I mean, like they could have been written a little better. The characters could have been explored a little bit better. And it's like literally like through examples like this, like the dialogue of Bowser saying that, there should have been more moments like that. They should have been when Mario first won the Mushroom Kingdom. There should have been a little bit more with him back and forth with Toad. Should have been a bit more back and forth with Princess Peach. Should have been all kinds of little things like that. And hopefully in the next movie they add like just an extra minute of just dialogue of them exploring that, you know?
I'm just glad they gave Peach a personality after 75 years.
Oh god, yeah, they definitely will do a video on all the Mario characters. We will talk about how
Like,
that was for her as well.
a literal impossibility for Nintendo, and they actually did it somehow.
Oh yeah. I guess, and too, the two other thing I guess I would say is that I was trying to, because I mean, like, I enjoyed the movie, but I also like seeing what people, you know, I look at critiques and see what people genuinely don't like about the movie. The two things that I saw was that the plot was being too basic. Like, people were going into the movie thinking that it wasn't going to be Super Mario Brothers. Like, the plot's basic, but like, the movie's called Super Mario Brothers. It's not called Paper Mario the movie. Like, I wasn't expecting the plot to be anything but the plot of Super Mario Brothers. And the fact that the plot of the movie doesn't follow it exactly is kind of a good thing. Could have been pushed more, obviously. But
it is a good thing, because why would I want to sit there and watch like the same thing except in a different format?
I mean, like, the fact that they made Mario and Peach team up for it, I think was a good thing. I mean, granted,
Well,
everyone's
which is
favorite.
a good thing, because we don't see that.
And it makes Peach look competent. It makes sense for her character. I mean, it does regress from.
She has a character now, like, it took long enough.
Well, it's because they encouraged it in the movie. They finally actually
Yeah.
added that to the movie. I mean, like, yes, Luigi should have been more in the movie. I get it. I agree with that,
Should have
too.
been present more, but don't worry, he will get his own movie at some point, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Well, the Luigi's Mansion movie is going to happen, or at least the series, right? They have to.
That just has to happen.
Yeah, but I think that's it. The only other thing I heard was that people saying like they didn't understand the reference. Like they were like, "Oh, this doesn't actually 100% accurately represent the game," which I'm like, okay. When you have a piece of media and they switch mediums, it's not going to line up. That never happens. Dobby's not even in Harry Potter, like, half the time in the movies, but he's in the book all the damn time. I understand that going into the movie and thinking, like, oh, it's going to be a different plot, or, oh, it's going to really reference the games. I understand going into the movie thinking that will make you disappointed. I'm just kind of saying, like, maybe, like, realizing that it doesn't matter what movie or what media it is. If it switches mediums, do not expect it to line up one-to-one. Be happy when it does, but don't be surprised when it's like, wait, that's completely different and unique to this. You know what I mean? We never seen Bowser as a mini mushroom before. We saw him in this movie, like, you know.
Yeah, like, not everything should and has to translate. Like, that's just not how that works.
I mean, to be honest, it sometimes just can't. I mean, like, how do you take
like,
the
it's
experience
just
of a
not
video game and
possible.
translate that into a movie format? Like, that's a definite,
It's
like,
not possible.
how do you do that?
Yeah, the fact that Nintendo made this is kind of astonishing.
Well, I mean, like, I watched, like, the DVD extras for the Mario movie, and that writer for the Mario movie, he definitely deserved that job, because he definitely seemed like he knew what he was talking about and knew what to focus on. He knew to focus on Bowser's, like, personality of, like, being super soft towards Peach, but, like, really focusing on his intimidation factor. Like, that is what you do with Bowser, and, like, I think that they just kind of, I think that it was the pacing. I think it was just the pacing, because it seems like the writer knew what to focus on for a lot of it. Not everything, but, like, a majority of it definitely got it down.
Yeah.
But, like, the pacing, I think, threw a little bit of that character exploration off. Which, I mean, it's a movie. It's like, it needs to have character exploration.
This is also Nintendo's first rodeo, like real rodeo, in quite a long time.
Oh, yeah.
What this type of format. I mean, even then, I kind of wasn't expecting nothing for this movie, and well, I was genuinely surprised.
Yeah.
to say the least.
I'd still say it's enjoyable. I mean, like, it
is objectively enjoyable.
It was
like,
the pacing.
For everyone.
And it needed to accept that it was an origin film. I think it was like it rode on the coattails of it being like, people know who Super Mario is, but it's the origin movie. You can't do that. It's like, I mean, like, it works, but like, it does detract from it. And the critiques and like the critics saying that like it should have been, that they didn't understand it, is like, it could have been that they genuinely meant that, but it could have also been like, no, I'm looking at this from, if I showed an alien this movie, would they understand this film without knowing any, like, through cultural osmosis what this is? Which is an important thing, I feel like, for any type of medium for it being the start of something, it needs to stand out on its own of being like, this is a good introduction to what this is, you know?
Always my biggest wonder when it comes to these things.
Yeah.
Always my biggest wonder.
It's hard. I'm not saying that it's easy. I mean, like, but
it is definitely hard.
Yeah,
with like audience, like, expectations, translating the IP correctly from one media format to another. You know, all that different stuff.
But I mean, all things considered, it's 7 out of 10. Like, it did it pretty decently. I mean, like, it wasn't 1993 Super Mario Brothers. It was still pretty good, you know.
Yeah, definitely wasn't that.
I think that's pretty much it. The only other thing I do want to touch on, this is like a bonus for all of you that stuck around for this long. I think I'd be a little bit remiss if I didn't kind of put in my 2 cents of how this happened, of how Bowser was created, because definitely...
I always wonder about this.
Because I'm thinking, like, it could have just been a spell, but I'm thinking, like, since he shares traits from every single Koopa, maybe he used parts of every single Koopa to create him? But what Koopa breathes fire? And I'm thinking...
What, like, weird amalgam is Bowser?
And I was like, well, maybe it's a dragon, because there are dragons, I'm pretty sure. And, like, there's this one, which...
With Odyssey, which kind of caught me off guard when
that
I
one,
saw that.
This was definitely a good part of Odyssey. Yes. And, like, I mean, it could have been a scale from this dragon, but I did a little bit more digging, and I'm thinking that, actually, it's this one. Because if you look at the design, it's kind of, you know, maybe it didn't need horns from any other Koopa, because the dragon itself has horns and it breathes fire. Like, wait a minute.
And in a similar manner.
Leave it to Captain Toad to, like, have the continuity that we need to connect this. Of course, Captain Toad, my favorite video game. But
the fossil.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. Like, it could very well could be. Who knows? I think that's it. Is there any other exploration or anything else that you got questions on, or any other parts of this that you think I should maybe expand upon that it's not connecting for any of you guys, or?
No, I think we hit our high notes for this topic.
I will say too. I mean, if people are like watch this and go, wait a minute, what about this or this? I mean, like, I might make a follow-up. I mean, if I'm making more videos, I might just have more end slides like this where we're just kind of talking at the end, and I can just note a comment that I'll see and I'm like, oh wait, hold on, let me explain this a bit more or see how that fits in, But so feel free to do that YouTuber thing and all that. I mean, leave a comment what you think as well. I'm curious if people kind of like, wait a minute, this would be kind of cool if they went this angle with it, But yeah, I think that's it. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you later.
Bye bye, everyone.
Peace.